Paranormal Investigations. I've got another encounter for you tonight. I think y'all are going to really enjoy this one. It happens at the Yellowstone National Park. So, we all know how national parks end up being, so let's get into this one. A few summers ago, when I was 21, my family decided to take our annual family vacation to Yellowstone National Park in Montana. We always vacationed in the wilderness, but Yellowstone was unlike any place we'd visited before. It expands over several states and is home to the thick, endless forests and countless species of wildlife. Being a frequent visitor of the woods, I felt relatively familiar with its inhabitants. I'm also a big fan of the paranormal and cryptids, and I've read and heard over countless reports of sightings. And after hearing so many stories of the things people see in the woods, I really didn't think that I would ever see anything that would leave me speechless. But I was proven wrong on that trip. The trip was a dream come true. At first, at least, the park was thriving with visitors and wildlife, and everything was so beautiful and breathtaking. We wanted to see much of the park as possible, so we would spend a night or two in one of the locations, explore the surrounding area as much as possible, and move further into the park to another location. About a week into the trip, we were staying at a nice resort in southern Montana for a few nights until we hit our next spot. The resort was a huge lodge positioned in a clearing surrounded by thick forest with a single road leading to and from the lodge. We arrived, and it was late into the evening after a long day of exploring. There were probably 8 or 9 other families staying at the lodge while we were there. We carried our bags inside quickly, showered, and collapsed into our beds to prepare for another day of adventure. I was excited with each coming day to explore the new parts of the expansive Yellowstone forest and to see its beautiful, unique features. So I fell asleep quickly, eager to get back into the heart of the woods. The next morning my family woke up, got dressed, and headed downstairs for the large breakfast provided by the lodge's community area. It was a stunning morning, and it was surprisingly warm outside, so both of the visitors, my family included, chose to enjoy our breakfast on the huge elevated deck protruding from the back of the resort. The staff of the resort had informed us that earlier in the morning they had seen a flash of brown fur, most likely a grizzly, padding around near the tree line. They told us to be cautious in observing the woods. I was extremely excited by this. We had seen moose, buffalo, wolves, and so many other things. But we had yet to see a bear. I made sure to take my binoculars out onto the deck with me in hopes that the bear would make another appearance. After finishing breakfast, many of the children went down to the staircase from the deck to play in the clearing behind the lodge. While the others remained on the deck to chat, everyone was playing, talking, and we were making good friends with the other families. Everything seemed so perfect. My older brother and I had joined some of the younger kids in the clearing for some games, which was really fun. I took a moment to pause and scan the tree line while my brother was off chasing some of the kids. Looking through my binoculars, I scanned the edge of the forest, hoping to see something. Suddenly, I saw a mass of brown fur, moving just a few feet into the woods. I was about to yell for my brother to tell him that I'd seen the bear, but I was peering at a mass of brown fur. I saw it stand up. My blood ran cold, and I stopped breathing, pulled the binoculars from my face to make sure it was actually seeing what I was seeing, and sure enough, there in the trees was standing this huge, fur-covered thing. It was not a bear. I put the binoculars back up to my eyes, and I could see this thing was human-like. It was massive, probably 9 feet tall, with huge muscular legs and arms that nearly touched the ground. I looked past the creature deeper into the shadows, and I could see 2 more identical creatures standing in its flanks. The 3 of them were standing straight up, glaring at the group of people playing in the yard and sitting on the deck. There wasn't any curiosity or shock in their eyes. It was pure hate and malice. I was frozen in place, not knowing what to do. I knew what I was seeing wasn't normal, and that these creatures were like monsters I'd read about in stories. I looked at people around me, wanting to see if they saw them too, but I was the only one. Conversations completely unaware of the presence of these things, people were just talking. How was I the only one that had noticed them? They were massive. I wanted to scream at the others to run, but it appeared that the creature hadn't seen us watching them, and I didn't want to tip them off, because they would flee, or far worse, approach us. My mind was racing, thinking of all the things I told myself I would do if I ever encountered something like this. I knew it would sound as if it started screaming monster, or tried to tell the others that I saw a boogeyman. They would think I was crazy or overreacting about something harmless. I knew I needed evidence if anyone was going to believe me, so I sprinted up the stairs and into the lodge to retrieve my phone. I wanted to get a photo of these creatures if I was going to prove to the others, even myself, that these things were real. After grabbing my phone and cursing myself for leaving it inside the first place, I flew back down the stairs in the spot where I had seen them. But of course, they were gone. I scanned the tree line frantically trying to find them, but they had vanished, as if they had never even been there at all. I was so upset with myself that I had let them get away without anybody else seeing them. Me bolting inside must have tipped them off to my knowledge of their presence. I was still panicking, desperate to tell someone about what I had just been seen lurking in those trees. I ran to my brother, who was a fan and believed in cryptids too. He would surely believe me. I tried not to scream the words, as not to scare the children playing around us. I grabbed him by the shirt and dragged him over to the side of the clearing where I had been standing. When I caught the sight of the things, I frantically whispered to him that I had seen something in the trees. He looked at me puzzled. "What did you see? The bear the others were talking about?" "No," I hissed at him. "It was something else." He continued to gaze at me in confusion, not knowing what I meant by something else. I scanned the trees again, desperate to find them too. But there was nothing. Knowing that I had been the only one to see these creatures, most people would not believe me. My brother believed what I had told him because he was a believer. "Mike, I'm telling you they're out there. I actually got to see one, and I wish everybody else would have." It's a good story, and it makes me think of you seeing more than one, and you were talking about kids playing. And again, that's one of the things I'm looking into is, does the sounds of children attract them? We get a lot of kids that go missing in national parks and stuff. And it makes me wonder, is it the sound of children that attracts them? And was there three of them there because they were planning on taking a child, and they did notice that you saw them, and when you ran in, they knew that, hey, we've been spotted, it's time to go? That'd be my guess. Um, but I would like to take some children playing, maybe on a recording or something, to the woods and see if I could get, an encounter like that, because I do believe that children do lure these things in. I believe they have a huge interest in children, and I believe they will snatch a child just as fast as they can. And that might have been their plan that day. There might have been another missing child in one of the national forests, and by you running in and not telling anybody, and I know you feel bad about that, but by you actually doing that action and them seeing that you saw them and knowing that you were doing something, you could have saved a kid that day. So don't be so down on yourself. Your actions might have saved somebody's life. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for the live. Should be a very good live. It's going to be over the solar eclipse. We got a lot of information and videos on that we're going to play. So I hope to see you on the live. Thank you for all the support for Hunter, all the donations. It means a lot to us. And we'll see you all in the next one. Keep your head on a swivel, and don't be something's dinner.